What is going on, folks? This is Gino with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and I am back yet with another addition to our 2026 Women's College Flag Football Program Preview Series. Today, I'll be introducing 3 brand new programs to our coverage, with 2 coming out of that treacherous conference, Carolinas Conference, and the other being an independent squad. I'll be introducing all of you to the head coaches of each program, and then a quick look at their schedules before taking a detailed look at each squad's 2026 roster. I apologize in advance if there are some players I did not mention in this episode, as I really am only going to be talking about the players that I was able to gather the most information or film on. With all of that out of the way, though, let's go ahead and talk about our first squad here, Hollins University out of Roanoke, Virginia. This will be Hollins' first season here in 2026 as an official flag football program. They are led by first-year head coach Mark McPherson. And yeah, he's going to be at the helm here for Hollins' first official women's flag football team here in school history. He has an extensive background in coaching and athletic administration, most recently serving as athletic director at Alta Vista High School. He served as head coach of the boys tackle football team at Craig County High School in Virginia for over 10 years to some great success. And then he coached their girls softball team to similar success as well. I like their strategy of picking a local guy who has experience in the game of football dating back to the 90s, mostly because you're going to be getting a strong and reasonable voice as the head of your program, a guy who knows what it takes to build a program. I don't know of any flag football coaching in his background, though, so it will be interesting to see how his coaching philosophy and scheme translate to this game of 7v7 women's flag football. Now, looking at Hollins' schedule here, they will be facing off against some potentially very tough opponents this year. Their main concerns should be Lindsey Wilson as well as Lise McCray, because those are 2 squads that have been recruiting very well this offseason. Definitely a pair of potential top 25 squads as well. Their other opponents consist of Ferrum, Virginia Wesleyan, and Mount Olive. Ferrum is another squad to potentially make some noise here in 2026 out of those teams. But in short, not the easiest schedule here for a first-year program, but there's still a chance that they can make plenty of noise this season too. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this roster here for Hollins. Starting us off here, we have Faith Falter, a senior who is currently listed at quarterback and linebacker for Hollins. Falter is also on the soccer team for the school and should provide some good wheels on both sides of the ball here. We may see some dual threat ability as well if she ends up being the starter at quarterback. Moving on now, we have Sydney Milo. Milo is a junior and a potential defensive leader here for Hollins. She is on the women's field hockey team as well, and this means that she is used to attacking in an athletic position and getting creative so that you can get around opponents. And field hockey, it's a physical game, so her bringing that to the defense is going to be huge. I definitely see her as the potential starting rusher here at Hollins this season. Next up now, we have Haley DeYoung, another member of the soccer team, and she is also going to be a junior here. She stands at 5'7", and her background in soccer makes her a potential beast at the wide receiver position here for Hollins. Her veteran experience in athletics at the university definitely helps her case as well to start here right away. Now, that's all I could really gather from the available players that are currently listed and just the available info as far as relative information having to do with flag football. So let's go ahead now and move into just the overview here for the program ahead of the 2026 season. And I'll be completely honest here, folks. I feel like I have very little to go off of when it comes to Hollins. There are 0 freshmen listed on the roster, which I truly hope is because they don't have their roster or their website updated, because not having freshmen as a first-year program could seriously hinder their production for future seasons. It is easier to recruit new players when you have examples of a freshman making an impact for your squad. Not to mention, it could be very helpful to have some players who have played competitive flag football recently, even if it's at the high school level. That brings me to my next concern here. The fact that I couldn't find any sort of flag football background for the players currently rostered for them. It makes it very hard to predict or get too excited about this team here in the 2026 season if I can't find any film or info on the players that are going to be starting for them. From what I could gather, it appears to be mostly folks who are already attending Hollins in the first place, and then maybe a couple of transfers mixed in. I literally have no stats or film to go off of, so I can't really lean too far one way or the other. But right now I have Hollins' win range at 0 to 3 games because of the reasons I just listed. I hope Coach McPherson and company proves me all the way wrong and that they actually have some freshmen that are just not currently on the roster, because that could be a very attractive place to play for future recruits with some wins under their belt here. Coach McPherson is no stranger to the grind of trial and error and just what it takes to build a program in general. And honestly, I am super excited to see what they can do this season. And I wish this Hollins team squad the best of luck here. Now that takes me into our next squad here. A squad that is actually going to be potentially a top 25 squad here in the preseason. I am talking about Mount St. Mary's out of Emmitsburg, Maryland. And this is the first Division I varsity flag football program in Northeast United States, and just the second Division I program in the sport's short history so far. The Mount St. Mary Mountaineers are going to be led by head coach Sandy James. James has quite the awesome resume, including nearly a decade of professional women's tackle football, plus many years of coaching flag football at the younger levels. James is also a former basketball player at Wake Forest, and standing at 6'6", that makes her a special kind of athlete. Between bringing her own playing experience to the table, or just her overall experience coaching the game, James is clearly highly qualified to be taking over the first Division I women's flag football program in that part of the country. I expect some amazing things here from Coach James in this squad as the game grows, and more Division I schools start up a program. James is making sure to get a head start of the rest of the Division I schools out there, and I think that's pretty cool. The Mountaineers are going to have a high-level competitor calling the shots as they get this program off the ground, and I really like the local talent that they have brought in as well. It will be cool to see what Coach James does here in her first year as head coach of this program. Now, looking at the schedule here for the Mount in 2026, they don't currently have that schedule listed on their website, but they will be competing in the Conference Carolinas this season against some other potential very good Year 1 schools. This will be arguably the most competitive conference in the entire college flag football scene across the country, and Mount St. Mary's is going to be right in that mix for the conference championship. Between schools like Wingate, Lindsey Wilson, Lise McRae, and Ferrum, the Mount will definitely have their hands full this season, though. Now, with that being said here, folks, let's go ahead and check out this roster here for the Mount. Starting us off, we have Miracle Bradley. Bradley is a freshman quarterback and safety for the Mount, who is coming in as a highly decorated high school athlete. Bradley had some great success at Paul L. Dunbar High School, racking up over 1,700 total yards. She was a first-team All-City selection, and she also led her squad to a Baltimore City championship as well her senior year. Bradley would fit in quite nicely as the starting QB here with her 5'11" frame and championship background, plus she brings a nice dual-threat ability to the table that she can really make this a dynamic offense. Next up now, we have Jenna Dick. Another potential QB here for the Mountaineers. Jenna is a freshman this season, and she will be competing for that starting QB spot along with Miracle Bradley, and she could potentially start at receiver as well here for the Mountaineers. She will be competing for the Mount's dance team as well, so another player with a background in multiple athletics. Next up now, we have Jordan Dotson Jensen. Also listed at QB and wide receiver, and a freshman, Jordan takes after her head coach at the Mount, as she was the only girl on the boys tackle football team at her high school. With a heavy and unique background in football, Jordan should find a role on this squad rather quickly. She is easily a threat to start at QB for the Mount, so it will be interesting to see what the starting 7 will be here on their first game. Next now we have Jayana Goins. Goins put up over 200 receiving yards and a touchdown in her career at Frederick High School. This freshman could slide in at the starting center spot or one of the starting receiver slots with her experience there, and with her being a team captain in high school. A multi-sport athlete as well, Goins should be a great addition here to the Mountaineers. Next up here from Mount St. Mary, we have Morgan Gregory. Another freshman. Morgan Gregory is bringing all-city linebacker experience to this defense, not to mention she's also a state champion gymnast. That kind of state championship athleticism and flexibility is game-changing for this defense, as it will allow her to make flag pulls at angles that most players just simply cannot accomplish. Next up now, we have Annabelle Haupt. Sorry if I mispronounced that there. But standing at 5'8" with a highly extensive and successful athletic background, Annabelle puts herself in position to be a starting defensive back or wide receiver on this squad right away. Her background in basketball and volleyball will play a big factor here in her success at flag, and I expect her to fit in quite nicely with this Mountaineers team. Next up now, we have Madison Keene. The next potential leader of this defense. Keene racked up 14 interceptions and over 100 flag pulls on that side of the ball in her high school career, leading to a first-team all-county selection. She also made an impact on offense here with multiple big games as a receiving option for her high school squad. Keene will be inserted right away as a big piece of this team. She's also standing at 5'10", in case you needed another reason to believe that she's going to be electric at this level of the game. Moving on now, we have the next player I'm going to be introducing to you guys. It is going to be Alyssa Lane. Now we have potentially the biggest recruit that the Mount has been able to acquire thus far, that being freshman wide receiver and safety Alyssa Lane. With 14 college offers out of high school, Lane is coming into her freshman year as one of the top recruits in the entire DMV area. Lane is a highly decorated athlete in multiple sports, already with numerous championships and accolades already in her young flag football career so far. Lane brings elite flag evasion skills, crisp route running, and a huge catch radius that is going to make her any QB's dream target. Her Instagram is littered with clips of her putting in the work all year long, whether it be in-game or practice, and there is no doubt that she's going to be electric right away here for the Mountaineers. Whether it be a short route and you just need her to get the team some extra yards, or if it's a tough ball up in the air, Alyssa Lane is going to make a play regardless. Look out for her in this 2026 season. Next up now, we have Chloe Lover-Omar. We now have the only non-freshman on this squad in sophomore Chloe Lover-Omar, who was an all-conference selection on defense in her senior year of high school. She could potentially start right away with her extra year of experience. Next now, we have Brooke Monday, a 3-time varsity softball captain and starting QB for her high school flag football team. Monday adds to this long list of QB depth that this squad currently has. Monday's background in softball makes her a potential second QB in a 2-QB system at the very least, with her ability to launch that ball down the field. Moving on now, we have another electric player here. We have Tabitha Newman. This freshman receiver/defensive back will be bringing some electric speed on the outside for the Mount. A school record holder in multiple track and field categories, Newman is no stranger to the bright lights and what it takes to dominate. That kind of game-changing speed is going to be huge for both sides of the ball for the Mount, as she can cover a ton of ground as a linebacker or a defensive back, Plus, who's going to be able to guard her on a deep ball? Newman is definitely another great addition to this squad. Moving on now, we have Ariana Reed. Reed is yet another all-conference selection in high school with almost 500 yards receiving and 7 interceptions on defense in her career. Reed was a huge part of her high school squad, and she should be a threat to start on either side of the ball here from the Mountaineers. And last but not least, the player I want to talk about here is going to be Hannah Yoon. Standing at 6'2" and a fantastic basketball player in high school, Youn will be towering above most, if not all, opponents that she lines up against. She led the DC metro area in rebounding and was a first-team all-conference member there as a senior. I would absolutely love if Coach James used her at center or even inside receiver, because that kind of size is absolutely game-changing and is going to be a nightmare matchup for any defensive back. Not to mention, she gives their QB an ideal target over the middle, and again, I'm just not sure how many players can win a jump ball against her. Now, with that all being said, this is a very good roster, a ton of local talent with most, if not all, of these players coming from the state of Maryland. So let's go ahead and just overview this squad, and I'll kind of break down how I'm feeling ahead of the 2026 season here for the Mountaineers. I'll be honest, there is so much to like about this Mount St. Mary squad. They recruited a ton of local talent, as head coach Sandy James has been hard at work networking with local high school coaches and officials to find out what players in the area got what it takes to play at the Mount. And so far so good, as this is an amazing first-year roster to be able to have. For starters, they currently have 4 different players currently listed to compete for the starting QB position. This is an amazing luxury to have, especially as a first-year program, since now they will be able to really figure out who's going to fit Coach James's system and be the sheriff of this offense. Most first-year programs have 1, maybe 2 options for the most important position in the game, but the Mount went ahead and got themselves 4 of them. Throw in the fact that you have at least 1 potential superstar in Alyssa Lane to really take this offense where it needs to be right away. Having 4 different options at quarterback plus a clear number 1 in your first year as a program is pretty awesome to say the least. I also love how they went outside the box and recruited players like Hannah Youn and Tabitha Newman, who are highly decorated in other sports, but Coach James sees it as a skill set that lays the groundwork to turn into a dominant flag football player. That shows confidence in your coaching ability, confidence in your recruiting, and confidence in your ability to develop any athlete into a contributor. This sort of ambition is what led Coach James into her amazing career so far, and I don't expect anything to change when the season starts for the Mount. I expect nothing short of dominance from this team while they are playing in the Conference Carolinas, and that is because I really like what they have so far as coaching and personnel is concerned. I can't really give them a win range right now because I don't know what their schedule is, but I see the Mount competing quite nicely in the Conference Carolinas, and they should be contenders right away for that conference crown. And last but certainly not least, we have Erskine College Flying Fleet out of Due West, South Carolina, competing in the Conference Carolinas as well. The Flying Fleet will be led by first-year head coach Esther Alansar. Sorry if I mispronounced that there. Alansar has an amazing background in flag football, as she is a member of the Brazil women's national team for both flag football and tackle, and she has competed in 2 world championships. She has been heavily involved in the football scene in Brazil as well, coaching both sides of the ball for professional football teams there, plus a stint as a head coach and quarterbacks coach for a tackle team there. This kind of international coaching and playing experience that Coach Alansar is bringing to the table is so unique, and it makes the future of this program very exciting. Not many first-year programs are lucky enough to be able to have an individual with such an amazing background pushing this sport to where it needs to be as their first head coach. But Erskine might have hit the jackpot here. Let's go ahead and check out the schedule here for Erskine. This is a very, very tough schedule here in their first season, to say the least. They will be facing off against several potential top 25 programs in Florida Memorial, Life, who we are already very familiar with. And then you got Lise McRae, Lindsey Wilson, Wingate, and Mount St. Mary's all on their roster here, their schedule rather, in 2026. With those last 4 teams I listed all being conference opponents too, Erskine will be facing off against teams that have been absolutely dominating on the recruiting trail. This will be a huge test here for Coach Allensar and company, as they will be smack dab in the middle of one of the most treacherous conferences in all of college flag football. Now, with that being said here, let's go ahead and check out their roster. First here we have Malia Butler, a freshman who is due to take over for the starting center position in year 1 for the Flying Fleet. Standing at 5'10" and with 2 years of varsity experience at the high school level, Butler is an intriguing option here for the Erskine offense. Next now, we have potentially their most exciting recruit so far, Kenzie Horton. One of the top QB recruits on the East Coast with offers to several different college programs. Horton is a 2-time Georgia Division II state champion with over 90 career touchdowns in high school between her junior and senior seasons. She put up 44 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in both her junior and senior seasons, with over 5,000 passing yards between both of those state championship seasons. Horton has a 3/4 almost sidearm arm slot and can make plays in the pocket or on the run. She is not afraid to chuck it up the seam or down the sideline, but she can also play within a quick offense and build drives on a regular basis. Having Horton as the sheriff of the offense is going to be absolutely huge here for Erskine here in year 1. Next now we have Carly Porter. Porter dominated on her high school softball and volleyball squads and is a freshman this season. She doesn't have a position currently listed, so I'm not too sure where she'll be placed, but her athletic background is definitely encouraging for some early playing time here. Next here we have Kalani Tolan, a 3-time All-Region basketball player and a South Carolina state record holder in the long jump. Tolan will be entering the squad as a potential lethal threat on offense as a utility running back or inside receiver. So those are the players that I was able to gather the most information on. Right now they only have 8 players currently listed on the roster, which is a little scary here. But with that being said, let me go ahead and just go over the overview here for the 2026 season for Erskine. With only 8 players currently on the roster and competing in a crazy good conference on top of that, Erskine has an uphill battle ahead of them in their inaugural season here in 2026. I couldn't find hardly any info about the flag football careers of the players currently rostered outside of a couple, so it is hard to get too excited about this team here in year 1. I do love what they have so far, though, as far as building blocks for the future goes. Coach Allensar is an amazing hire for them, as she has a very extensive and successful flag football resume and is no doubt committed to the grind of building a program in a tough conference. There is obviously a ton of talent in that area, so it really is just a matter of getting that recruiting rolling and planting a pipeline in a state or city where they can always have talent coming through. This is easier said than done, obviously, but Erskine is absolutely capable of turning their recruiting up to the next level and really getting this program rolling. As far as what they have right now goes, I love that they have the QB position figured out, but it is quite the disadvantage if you have to play your QB on the defensive side of the ball due to low numbers on the roster. Kenzie Horton is a known winner and leader, and that is great for Erskine that they have the most important position in the entire sport figured out, but honestly, I'm sure they would much rather her just focus on being a QB and not having to play both sides of the ball. I expect some nice numbers from her here in year one and beyond as they get more weapons for her in the coming seasons. I think they can still pull together a few wins this season, but those will not come easy in their current schedule or in that conference as a whole. Coach Alan Sarr knows what she needs to do to get this program up and running, and I don't think anything is getting in her way of building Erskine to be a top 25 program in the country. That will do it here in this episode of our 2026 Women's Flag Football Previews episode. I wish the best of luck to all three of these programs ahead of the 2026 season, and I can't wait to cover some of these games starting in February. We got more and more episodes coming out nonstop for you guys, so make sure to check those out and keep up with the number one source for women's flag football coverage. This is Gino with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out.